Hey everyone, Aaron here. Welcome back to the Anime Talk, the show where we feel. Have I done this before? I feel like I've done this before. No, seriously. Last week, I had a very fun anime talk that I did where I helped guys, mainly guys, I mean, probably some females watched it also, deal with real life anime archetypes in females. So, for example, how to deal with a girlfriend that might be a tsundere or yandere or dande or kude, etc. And what I did promise during that video, if you didn't watch that, go check it out, by the way. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, by the way. I had to do multiple takes of that and multiple fixes and all that stuff. So definitely go show some appreciation to it. I don't know how it I don't know how it did because I'm filming this in roughly the same amount of time as the last one before uploading it because this is probably my busy week. So right now, as of probably this coming out, I'm probably either in school or heading to school or one of the two. So I have to hand in research papers, etc. So I can't be doing this any closer to the upload date. So I really don't know how the other one did. Hopefully it did well and you came back and you were listening to this one. But if not, no big deal. I always do this just to have people watch them because I know a lot of people do enjoy them. But with this anime talk this week, so this is number 61, what we're dealing with is the opposite spectrum, the whole reversal. So now I'm helping you females out there, maybe some guys that are watching this too, but whatever. I'm helping you females predominantly though with kind of dealing with male archetypes. Now, what's really cool about this list I have up here, I got this off the internet, off Google. It's a very nice list because I feel like it is the best list to describe the archetypes that you girls will run into in your life and have to deal with. And what I love about this list is it's so much better than the other one I had because it actually has comment sections, popularity, a little short description, and all that. And it's very accurate. It's something that's actually extremely scary accurate to what you have to deal with. Now, I'm going to say this right now. As what I said last video, this is not meant to pick up dudes that are of these archetypes. These are more so these videos are meant to kind of enhance or enforce what you have already. So in the sense of what I'm talking about, I'm going to first start off with childhood friend, for example. I will tell you guys, well, predominantly I'll tell you girls how to deal with guys that are childhood friends and kind of what the trials and tribulations of that will be. Now, I'm going off of, once again, my own experiences in terms of what I've dealt with in my life, also what I've had my friends deal with and what they've come to me with knowledge of. So, take everything with a grain of salt, of course, but, I feel that these are very, very accurate things, and I'm not going to give you guys too much bullshit. I always try to make sure that when I do the anime talk, I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm making sure that I know what I'm talking about. I know a lot of people do anime discussions sometimes, and you wonder, where the hell did they look their information up? I tend to know what I'm talking about. So, I hopefully will help you girls deal with what you have to deal with in this. And like I said, it's also guys too. You might have some of these issues too. That's perfectly fine. But this is predominantly for girls. Now, like that one, we're going to start off with each one. I'm going to try to make this one a little bit short of a video because there are a lot more archetypes for you to deal with. But also, here's the good thing about you girls. Even though you have a lot more archetypes to deal with, they're not as difficult to deal with, if that makes sense. Now, the first one I want to deal with is childhood friend. So obviously, childhood friends are something that I want to say is one of your highest things of happening, especially if you live in like rural areas, like places where there aren't a lot of people, or maybe you live in like a small community where you know everyone down the street, for example, or stuff like that. It's usually stuff that happens where you're always surrounded by people of either the opposite gender or more so just someone that you can get along with all the time because maybe they're a friend for whatever amount of period. So we'll talk about this in the sense of these are your friends for maybe 18 to 20 years, maybe even less than that, but usually these are your friends that go past a few dozen years. So most likely you're going to have these friends for a long time. Now, if you do get into a relationship with one of these, with the childhood friend, know that this is someone you're close to, like the description says. This is someone that you consider a good friend, a best friend in many ways. These are the type of people that will be the crutch to you. They will be the person that you've talked to when you've had your down times or you had your good times, when you've had just events happen in your life that you go, oh, who would I want to share that with? That would be my childhood friend. Now, you ladies don't have to worry too much about childhood friends going astray. This is one thing that's good about a whole childhood friend sequence is more so the fact that your childhood friend will be there for you for a long time. And what's good about that is that they know what makes you tick. They know what makes you happy. They know what makes you sad. They know what jokes to push and what jokes not to push on you. They know how to treat you to a certain degree better than most people will because they know you already inside and out. And that's funny because that's a scary thing because that's also the double-edged sword effect where it causes a lot of relationships, and especially from the ones I know from my friends, it causes a lot of rifts, and more so if the kind of romance stays stagnant. So my advice, my only main advice for for a person who has a childhood friend as a boyfriend, is that you have to make sure it doesn't stay, I want to say, too friendly. You want to get romantically more and more as time goes by. You don't want to see them always as, oh, they're just my best friend, and I'm with them as a boyfriend now. No, what you want to do is, what you want to focus on is, you see them now as a significant other. You see this person as your future. That's, I know a lot of people are afraid to do that with, romances. Don't be afraid to do that. Like, you don't start planning. For example, this is something I'll tell you guys, kind of off the kilter a little bit, but don't plan a romance too far in advance. Don't be like, oh, this is who I'm going to spend my life with, or this is going to be the person that I'm going to marry, stuff like that. No, you don't do that. What you're doing first and foremost is, you want a boyfriend in this case to be someone that will be there for you for the foreseeable future. So it could be a year, it could be 2 years, but you're not thinking too long term yet. You're thinking long term, but not beyond the boundaries of boyfriend and girlfriend yet. Now, after several months, that's when you're going to notice that your feelings are going to either grow or decrease. And when that happens, of course, that's when oh, I want to take this a step further. I want this to be maybe a longer relationship. Maybe I want to get super serious with this person. Maybe I want them to be, my significant other for my life. And that is perfectly fine. That's where, the true romance begins. But in many ways, when you first start, don't plan too far in ahead. You could say you love someone. You could say you really care for them. But that only means that you really do care for them and you really do love them. It doesn't mean that you're thinking now of, oh, let's have kids. Let's get married. You don't do that. No, I think a lot of childhood friend romances kind of go into that territory because you've been with that person so long, and maybe you just start dating after you've been with this person for 18 years. So we'll say you're both 18 now, and you got out of college, or excuse me, you started college, or you got out of high school, whatever, and you decide, I want to make this person my boyfriend. Now, the thing is that, it's a different realm than being friends. You have to realize that. So you cannot go into this childhood friend concept with a kind of half-assed nature. You have to realize that this is now a person that you will see romantically. You will fall in love with this person. You cannot be just like, oh, that's my friend, that's my best friend. In a relationship, you will have a best friend in your significant other. That is perfectly fine. I mean, that's normal. But you have to make sure that it's not just a friendship, but more so a love. It has to be something that you feel for that person. You care for that person beyond just a friend. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's something that's very true that happens even in any other romances. And I'll apply that to every single one of these, but especially with childhood friends, you just don't want to make it where it stagnates to only a friend type level, because in many ways, then you'll just be friends forever. And that's nice, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to last in the terms of ever being a romantically powerful thing. It'll be just good friends always being together. And then that's what's different between you being married to that person or you being just their friend. Nothing. So with childhood friends, ladies, you really want to make sure you kind of just push the envelope a little bit. Make sure that you really are falling for this person, not just being comfortable with them. Now, I will also say that childhood friends are, I want to say, messy breakups. So, this is kind of my secondary advice. I only said there was going to be one, but realistically, I'm thinking of it now. If it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go in your mind, like if you break up with that person, unfortunately, stuff like that happens. If it does happen, understand that it might cause a big rift in your friendship. And that's kind of what happens sometimes with childhood friends. And I know people are afraid to go into the childhood friend, and knowing full well that you're going to lose your friend if things go astray in your relationship. But it's just the way of life. I mean, many ways, you might also be able to bounce back and you still could be close friends and you still appreciate that person. But there are times where, if you're in a relationship with that person for a year, 2 years, and then you guys have a messy breakup or you just break up in general, it will destroy some of that friendship. Now, don't be afraid. I'll tell you that right now. This is kind of like, I don't want to go too far into this because, like I said, I don't want to help you girls just pick up dudes in the sense. But I will say that don't be afraid to go in a relationship if they are your friend for a long time, because honestly, that's what all good relationships are built off of, is a first friendship. You have to build up a camaraderie with that person first, and then from there, you go into the territory of relationships. Simple, right? Anyways, let's move on to the next one because I want to get off this topic because I've already spent like 6 minutes probably on it. Let's move on to one of the simpler ones, Prince. Well, actually, I want to say this is the simple one, but this is also the one with the weird element to it. Like, this is one that it's almost like you're not going to have an issue per se with the relationship if your Prince, Prince Charming comes along. But I want you girls to understand one thing. Prince Charming is something that is also very extravagant in your head, but realistically can be a double-edged sword completely. Like, I mean, all these relationships can be a double-edged sword, but this one specifically, I couldn't say the word specifically for a second, but whatever. Specifically, this one can be something that you yourself as a girl might take a little too far and might falter and not realize what your prince is actually doing for you. Understand that if you're in a relationship with a guy, you are going to be pampered by Prince. These are the people that buy you a lot of gifts, like perfumes, jewelry, stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to put that up for first and foremost. There's nothing wrong with buying your girlfriend good items. You can buy them very small things. You could buy them a large amount of stuff. It's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that if that's the only thing they're doing for you, they're not maybe talking to you enough. They're not really being there for you emotionally. It's detached from you. That's an issue. So there's always supposed to be a balance with romances in general. Like, you have to balance out the buying of stuff for the girl and also the buying of not just of their emotions, but more so buying them by being nice for them. Being there for them when they need you, being a good boyfriend. And in this case, that's a different type of bought mentality. That's the concept of they want to buy your love through a non-material means. If that makes sense, the simpler way of saying that is, this is something that you have to work harder for. This is something you can't just go, oh, here's $30, $40, $100, whatever, and an item comes popping out of their hand. No, more so, this is something that has to be built up over time. And a lot of females will run into this prince category where you will see a guy who's of wealthy status, of a high social status, and you will love the attention they give you. You'll love the pampering they give you in terms of either gifts or extravagant things and all that. And hey, ladies, nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, you should be happy with getting stuff because that's their way of showing affection for you. Just make sure, and this is my only advice to you really for this category, is make sure that Prince Charming is treating you right in multiple senses, not just buying you things. Don't let them just buy your love. Let them buy everything about you in the sense of your love, but more so your emotions and your way of being. And that doesn't have money values. That's not something you can buy that easy. It's something that you have to buy in terms of time. You have to, the boyfriend must spend time with you to understand what makes you tick, to understand what makes you happy and sad, etc. And, to understand what joys you get outside of just getting items. And that will build up a good relationship that you will have your Prince Charming that is both Disney-like, but also realistic-like. And that's something that I think girls sometimes fall out of the category because, when you're getting swarmed with good stuff, you lose the kind of mentality of like, oh wait, is this dude really doing good things for me? And that's understandable. That will happen. I mean, that happens with even guys who are showered with items from girls, because that does happen with girls. Some girls will shower dudes with items and try to buy their love that way. But namely, this is something more that happens to you ladies out there. So I just want to implore to you, just be careful that your love is being bought on ends of just not money, but more so on time. That has to be one of those things. That has to be balanced of the two. Now, let's move on to, I want to believe, the next one. Alright, the next one would be the bad boy. Oh boy. These are also very common, as the thing says. Now, bad boys are very simple to explain. Very, very simple. These are the ones that are either very cool guys that are just, very, like it says, free-spirited and rebellious, which is, hey, listen, I understand why ladies get attracted to that. That's the kind of thing where they almost seem like they're invulnerable to everything and almost seem like they're super cool because of it. The only issue with the bad boy, the only issue that you will ever find, and this is something that is universal because I know this especially from one of my friends who dated a bad boy, quote unquote, you have to worry about the fact that your bad boy might be doing stupid things. That's the only thing you have to worry about. That really, realistically, just what they're doing. Are they doing the correct legal things? Are they doing things that are, good for you, good for, a person of a boyfriend stature? These are the people that you have to just pay attention to what they're doing bad boy wise. There's nothing wrong with being kind of rebellious, riding a motorcycle, for example, or staying out at a certain time of period, or maybe doing things that aren't up to the status quo of nature. But when you're breaking the law, when you're doing stupid things that are seemingly not kind to people, when you might be treating your significant other in a harsh manner, you have to understand that's not being a bad boy, that's just being an asshole. And that's being a lawbreaker in general. You don't want that. You don't want that, ladies. Trust me, that's something that I know it seems kind of cool. It's not cool. Just stay away from that. That's all. That's a very simple category. Just know you're bad boy and know what they're doing. That's as simple as this category goes. Seriously. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now, with these, I want to kind of fuse a few of the categories together only because we're running into what essentially say is like a time constraint now, where I see my clock and it's like 18 minutes you've been doing this. I don't want to make this super long. I mean, you girls have a lot more, like I said, category wise. You really do. And all these things are kind of applicable to you in many ways. But with these last few, like the flirt, Megan, the eccentric, Shota, and older man, I'm gonna fuse a lot of those together because realistically they can be easily fused together. And with the flirt, I want to spend the least amount of time because it's very simple with the flirt. I'm gonna start now with the Shota and older man category because they are very similar to one another. It's the younger person and the older person. Bottom line to it. Now, with the Shota and older person, the only issue you ladies will have running into this type of boyfriend or significant other is the fact that they are literally mature/immature. That's the bottom line to it. That's the only issue you run into. You know, if a guy is older than you, for example, they might expect a lot more from you. And the thing is that you are too immature to understand it yet. And don't listen. That's not trying to insult any of you. No, I'm not trying to do that by any means. But that just means exactly that. It's just that they have more time on you, so they expect something that you might not be willing to offer yet because you just aren't there yet. So maybe they want a deeper relationship, or maybe they want more from you, and you're like, well, yeah, but I have not gone through the same stuff you've gone through, or I haven't been there yet. So understand that they just might want for more from you. And listen, all you have to do is be like, hey, can we do this and that instead of that? And older guys usually will understand, oh, I get that. I get that they're a little more mature. Okay, fine, I'll back it off a little bit or whatever. And your relationship could work a lot better because honestly, I think this is one of the easier relationships to deal with because it should always be, I think, a good influx of maturity versus immaturity. You should always have a little bit of a leeway with that. Having two people, of course, the same age is always a little bit better, but having an influx of either one side is not a bad thing at all. I mean, you can learn from that person, you can kind of mature with that person. They might help you mature faster in general. That is a good thing. But with the Shota people, if you have someone that's younger than you in a relationship, understand, hey, they're immature. Just the same way as the older guy wants something from you, if you are the older girl wanting something from your younger boyfriend, understand they might not be willing to understand fully what that is yet, or they might not be able to even grasp what that is yet. So you have to be willing to give them some leeway and be like, okay, I'll do this and that because they're younger, they're immature, they still haven't fully got the idea of what a romance is yet, and maybe I understand better what it is than them. That's it. This is very simple for that. Eccentrics, even simpler. Eccentrics are everything that essentially is an otaku. I hate to say that, but that is the best way to say it. Eccentrics have what they feel like is a focus on things. They are usually the type of people that really love anime, that really love video games, that really love whatever, and they are the people that you will always kind of feel secondary to those loves. Like, I know for a fact that this happens to my friend, this happens to me, this happened to a lot of other people, but my friend had a girlfriend who was very into anime, very into kind of not I want to say goth stuff, but she was kind of like a goth in many ways, and what happened is that their relationship did not pander that well because of the fact that he didn't realize those were things she loved more than him. That's the bottom line. Now, doesn't mean that I think personally you could split your love between multiple things. You could have a love of a material thing, and then you could have a love between a person. There's nothing per se wrong with that. I mean, I love anime. I can love another person. I can, that's nothing wrong with that. And an anime person can love anime and love me at the same time. That's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's just understand that you're dealing with that now, and it always might feel like you're a secondary, but in many ways you're not a secondary. It's just more so that they split their romances and they split their concepts in their head. So if you have a problem with that, hey, you're going to have to back off. That's the bottom line. You have to go and leave that relationship because there's no fixing eccentric. There's no fixing an otaku, bottom line. Unless they grow out of anime one day, that's the only way they get fixed out of that. But mostly, once an otaku, they stay at otaku, you're dealing with it for the rest of your life. Now, the last one, the flirt, is very, very... I don't want to really go over the Megan. I mean, the smart guy in many ways is like the eccentric where, they talk a lot. They might have stupid jokes that they think smart. They might start arguments. Simple thing, understand like the eccentric. That will be something that will be a deal breaker for you if you just can't deal with that, bottom line. Now, with the flirt, this one is something that I want to go off of because this one I feel is one of the biggest issues with you girls. This is going to be one of the ones you have to worry about the most. Now, the flirt is the guy who flirts with everyone that has what he knows he has to offer to people. The only major issue with that, but the one that I feel is the scariest one of all these, realistically out of all these, is that the flirt can be the one that's a cheater. And I'll tell you right now, this is something you probably only get from watching this. So if you're watching this, you understand this. I've had someone cheat on me before. It is a painful thing to happen. Regardless of in your head you think it's not that big of a deal, it is painful. And when it happens, it hurts. It makes you paranoid sometimes of relationships and stuff like that, and that's inherently something you'll have to deal with and kind of always have to fix and readjust yourself. I've been able to readjust myself where I don't worry about that. That's not something that even in my head. I don't like worry about my partner or whatever cheating on someone. Like, I'm not worried about that. That's not something I've ever worried about if I've been in another relationship after this. But the thing is that you have to understand that if you notice your significant other, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, this goes to everyone. I'm not just saying for girls, but everyone. Understand that if they're not with you a lot and they're with some other people and they start showing a lot of more interest in those people, or if they constantly are making excuses to hang out with those people over you, those are warning signs. Those are big warning signs. So, be prepared for that. So, flirts, I'm going to say right now, typically just be afraid of them a little bit. Just understand that, hey, if they're not flirting with everyone but you, that's fine. Okay, that's good. But if they're flirting with like every girl out there, or every guy out there, that's an issue. That's an issue. That's stay away. Stay away. But anyways, guys and girls, mostly girls probably watching this, but probably a few of you guys are watching this too. I hope you enjoyed this anime talk. I know it's pretty long. I do apologize for that, but it's kind of unfortunately just how I had to do this one because, like I said, you ladies have a lot more to deal with in terms of the archetypes. Now, if you guys want me to do any more of these, I can do a few other categories and stuff like that. I can talk more about that. If you leave a comment, if you need help with something, I could always feel free to help with anything you guys and girls need. I will talk to you later. Have a really blessed day. If you like this content, please subscribe, share the video, like the video, etc. Bye-bye, everyone.